Interstellar. Is the scientific calculation accurate? What is the speed of the spaceship? What is his size? How does the passage of time change near a black hole? What's inside a wormhole like? In this video, we will review the journey of the characters in the film, trying to verify mathematically the accuracy of the different concepts, and recreate some of the visual effects in the film. It might be a bit technical, but don't worry, even without understanding every calculation, you can still learn from the larger story. In this story, the situation on Earth is urgent. Food shortage. The air is barely breathable. Dusty. The planet no longer seems fit for human habitation. In this apocalyptic scene, former NASA pilot Cooper lives with 2 children, but in daughter Murphy's bedroom, something strange happened. Library. Perth eventually identified these events as gravity anomalies and revealed a path to NASA. Coordinates of the secret base. It seems that some mysterious force trying to lead them to this base. We know there's a wormhole near Saturn, 2 other planets that may have migrated. NASA is preparing to launch a critical mission. Let the astronauts go through the impulse. Visit 3 potentially habitable exoplanets. As a former NASA, the pilot's Cooper was recalled at this time, joined the adventure. The crew went to sleep after takeoff. The spaceship will take 2 years to reach the vicinity of Saturn. Is the impulse at this time reasonable? By considering the Earth, the distance between Saturn and the asteroid, set track radius, you can roughly estimate the speed of the spacecraft. Earth and Saturn are about 1.30 billion kilometers apart. If the flight duration is 2 years, then the spacecraft, the average speed is about 70,000 kilometers per hour. For comparison, the fastest manned aircraft in history, Apollo 10, the speed is about 40,000 kilometers per hour. Hypothetical future interstellar technology, more advanced than our current technology. It is reasonable to reach the vicinity of Saturn in 2 years. To ensure the comfort of the crew during the journey, the spacecraft will use the centrifugal effect to provide artificial gravity, designed as a rotating ring structure. Push the crew towards the outer arm. According to the backslash in the formula, the backslash is the radius of the spacecraft. Replacing the backslash with the backslash is the rotation period of the spacecraft. In the movie, it can be calculated. The half cycle of the spacecraft is 5.7 seconds. The total period is approximately 11.4 seconds. Did not produce the same as the Earth. 9.8 meters per square second of gravity. The radius of the spacecraft should be about 30 meters. It's about 60 meters in diameter. This size is rather realistic. The radius of the International Space Station is about 70 meters. When the spacecraft passes through the impulse near Saturn, crew wake up and observed for the first time this space warping channel. A wormhole is a pipe connecting to regions of the universe. The surface is 3-dimensional. Crew and light can pass through it. The image on the other side can also be sent back. However, how realistic is the wormhole depicted in the movie? Find answers through simulations. We start with a ball that connects the 2 spaces. Smooth the transition to reach film director Nolan the desired effect. Select a camera perspective. In the worm, 2 images of the starry sky are placed on either side of the hole. Allows light to reach the camera directly, or go through the wormhole and then arrive. We use ray tracing. Light is sent through each pixel of the camera and trace its path. His origin in the sky has been determined, and the color that arrives at the camera. This is actually equivalent to using the lateral ground equation and the equations of general relativity. By tracking curved spacetime trajectories, you can get images with bamboo pixels. Simulate knots when combining them dynamically. Very similar to the visual effects in the movie. We can try changing the geometry of the wormhole. Examine if Nolan adopted a different design. What will the final product look like? For example, compare. The long wormhole allows the light to travel several times before reaching. We can see the interstellar, repeating images of the universe. After the spaceship Enduro passed through the wormhole, we can see inside. Analog display screen. With the visual effects team in the film, presented differently for the sake of audience understanding. In fact, This simulation may produce intoxicating images after this expedition passes through the wormhole near the supermassive black hole Kagondua. Black holes are surrounded by planets. The crew's first target is the Miller planet. This planet is very special, completely covered in water, and it's orbiting very close to the black hole, influenced by the powerful tidal forces of Kagondua side of the planet, significantly more attractive force than the other side, causing its surface, forming huge 1-kilometer high waves, due to its proximity to the black hole. Every hour on the planet, 7 years on Earth, this time warp and huge waves made Miller planets are particularly mysterious. Scientist Kip Thorne pointed out that the height of the waves is over 1 kilometer. We can try to estimate roughly. Calculate the distance between a planet and a black hole to create waves like this. These waves are actually composed of the attractive force of the black hole phenomenon and the moon's attractive force on Earth. The tides are similar, but on a grander scale. Although the waves in the movie are better than the average tide, thinner and taller, but we can still get through tidal forces and planetary orbits, the combined effect of the resulting centrifugal effect. To justify this phenomenon, in the framework of Newtonian physics, we can calculate the experience of tidal forces. This force keeps the sea at low tide, flow between climaxes, every drop of water, by vertical displacement and salt. The average score of the department competition hit a certain amount of energy. This is the power of tidal forces. So to make the water rise, the attractive force he gained must be equal to this energy, considering a mass of millions, solar mass black hole. If one is the size of the Earth, close planets orbit him, then the orbital distance of the planet should be 4.50 billion kilometers, to ensure that it can be compared to the black hole's star shield radius. Let's scale this up and compare it. It can be inferred that its diameter is about 300 million kilometers. In the movies, a depiction of a planet called Melis, it orbits a black hole called Gargangela, shows a strong phenomenon of time dilation. That is, every hour is equivalent to 7 years on Earth. This time dilation is approximately static. Planets in circular orbits under a black hole, time experienced, slow down 60,000 times. However, orbital distance calculated by tidal forces, command causes time dilation of about 5%. And it was very different than what you see in the movie. To get 60,000 times the coefficient of time dilation, the planet must be in an orbit above the photon sphere. This is where light can maintain its orbit. But so, any orbit close to a black hole would be highly unstable. This calculation is only applicable to static black holes. However, general relativity allows black holes to rotate, spin faster, the more likely it is near its horizon. There's a stable orbit, although this calculation is more complicated. But we can be sure, if okay, the orbit of the star is 6,000 kilometers from the horizon, and the black hole rotates only slower than the speed of light. 1 trillion. This is extremely fast. Theoretically, it's not impossible. The plot of the movie and the real physics. There are differences, but the visual effects of black holes do cause widespread general attention. French scientist Ginowan. It was simulated as early as 1979. However, in 2014, our first time at the cinema, see such a shock-absorbing image of a black hole. This black hole is rotating at a speed close to a generalized. The permissible limit of relativity allows us to trace the path of light, determine their origin. Some light is blocked by black holes. As a result, the corresponding pixel cannot accept light, and that creates an image of the black hole, attractive force that deflects light. It causes visual distortion that allows us to observe the shadow of the black hole. For static black holes, shadows are disks, but in a spinning black hole it appears to be flattened. A spin of spacetime pulls the light. Gargantua in the movie. The black hole is surrounded by an extremely bright ion attack plate. In the simulation, image of suction disk distorted by black hole's attractive forces makes his back look folded. The suction plate itself should be very hot. Will emit intense radiation. This would cause the ship to be destroyed immediately. So the temperature of the suction plate is lowered in the movie. Make it thinner. Lower internal pressure. The suction disk rotates around the black hole at high speed, leads to the Doppler effect. The light on one side is accelerated, the other side is filled, so we see a bluish tint on the western side. The other side is dark red. When the Interstellar mission returns to Earth, the professor perfected the mathematical model, trying to explain the mystery of attractive forces. This task helped him solve a complex equation. The goal is to find answers about the nature of attractive forces and make use of this new knowledge. Build a giant spaceship, sending humans into space to save the future. At this stage of the research, Professor Brand concludes, an attractive force. There must be something outside our universe. Something caused. He proposed our universe. It could be part of a larger space. This larger space has an extra dimension. Attractive force anomaly. It may be caused by a constant that exists in a larger space. In the movie Interstellar, we can see Professor Brand's blackboard. It shows the details of the model. This universe contains 3 branes. The one we are in, the one above, and the one below. These 3 branes form the structure of a sandwich, the geometry of the entire universe. Shapes are distorted into anti-God geometries. This geometry structure allows the distances above and below are extremely stretched, makes it difficult for gravity to escape. In our universe, gravity propagates in all directions, distributed on the sphere, so his intensity is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. But if we add an extra spatial dimension, gravity is no longer confined to the sphere, but extends to the hypersphere and decay in the other way. However, due to the existence of anti-God geometry, this attractive force does not significantly extend the distance. For Ed, the 2 outer branes help define the scope of the distortion, but also to explore the 4th dimension, provides enough space. The accuracy of this model proves that the rationality of the movie's ending. Back to Earth, Murphy succeeds Professor Brand. Continue to study attractive forces. His task is to find the solution to the equation and describe the properties of the field to explain the anomalies observed on Earth. Although the professor's model, at first it seemed very promising, but no final answer has been given. Could it be that you finally realize? Professors already know the key they need, but it wasn't revealed. They need to understand the quantum nature of the attractive force to complete the magic. He has to figure out, when the attractive force meets quantum physics, what will happen? This requires going deep into the vicinity of the black hole's starting point. And this was his father, Joseph. Cooper follows in another galaxy. What you do when you cross the star? When Cooper is out of stamina, the event world of falling into a black hole. He can. Can you survive without being trapped? In the 1960s, science generally believes that the starting point of a black hole is a point. However, by the 1970s, scientists have realized that these starting points take on a chaotic twisted structure. In the 90s, these chaotic starting points were called BP starting points. Researchers found that when matter falls into a black hole, due to the dilation effect of time, relative motion of falling matter, it seems to slow down and keep piling up, eventually form a large-scale starting point. Around 2010, scientists have discovered that older black holes have a new beginning, accumulated from the material that fell before. This new beginning is relatively mild. The resulting tidal force is weak. Therefore, it is theoretically possible to survive here, but to avoid being overtaken by another starting point, must dive into a black hole at nearly the speed of light. Interstellar, Ronnie Lee in. Cooper's advice is officially based on this. Ancient Gargantua. Inside a black hole is a gentle starting point. Amber can survive by diving at high speed. Although the director, Nolan, uses a mysterious method, the formula describes this possibility. Cooper successfully accelerated enough to enter the starting point and survive. Although no one knows for sure what lies at the center of a black hole, but in the movie we see, needs to be explained by quantum attractive force theory. Nolan concept. When Cooper enters the starting point, he was transported to a 4-dimensional object. It's called the hypercube. He is thought to have advanced creatures that open wormholes. A hypercube is a 4-dimensional cube, where each face is a 3-dimensional cube. Like every face of a 3-dimensional cube, like a 2-dimensional square, this structure allows Cooper to enter one of the faces, and eventually to his daughter Murphy's room. It is worth mentioning that, if the journey seems fairly quick, despite the distance. That's because of Kaoli. The cube has been raised beyond our universe. Through the anti-god we mentioned earlier, geometry significantly shortened the distance. Once Kubrick reaches his destination, the hypercube is equivalent to the elevator to the fourth dimension. So it could happen, because of the light, can propagate to the library on the surface of the hypercube. Poe's eyes, but according to the model of the Nolan camera, light can't get from Cooper back to Murphy, so Cooper couldn't talk to him directly. However, Cooper arrived. Gravity can overcome obstacles and convey information. He was inspired by the theory. In a multi-dimensional space, gravity can span all dimensions. However, other fundamental interactions usually occur, limited to the dimension we are in. Therefore, Amber uses gravity to transmit quantum data to Murphy, provides the key information required to solve the equation. Is that so? He became the mastermind behind the gravity anomaly. Although this is Nolan, due to this highly imaginative plot in the movie, set rules. But could it be possible to rely on this data? Master the control method of gravity. This decreases the gravity on the Earth's surface, launching a massive space station into space. Ultimately save humanity. The space station functions as a giant centrifuge, capable of performing the necessary centrifugal force calculations, and travel to Saturn through the wormhole. In a scene from the movie, we see a baseball player hitting the ball. The ball passes through the entire space station, and eventually broke the upper window. Observed from the inside, the trajectory of the ball seems to be bent, because the entire space station moves with the rotation of the centrifuge. Although we don't know the exact speed of the ball, trajectory angle, wheel radius and rotation speed, and other parameters. But as you can see from the movie, the gravity in the space station is similar to that on Earth. This means the rotation speed of the space station. It has to be accurate. This gravity has been generated at the same time we see, after the baseball flies for 4.6 seconds in the scene. Break the window, analysis through bamboo needles, and compare it to the size of the players. Its speed can be estimated. We estimate the speed of the baseball to be 30 meters per second. Within the constraints of this data, determine that the radius of the wheels of the space station is approximately 50 meters. It's about 100 meters in diameter. It's about 310 meters in circumference. At this size, the space station rotates 4 times per minute, can generate an artificial gravity with similar gravity to the Earth. Although this is a relatively small site, but by comparing it to the size of the building, or use other methods to speculate, baseball's trajectory can be miscalculated, even get very different results, sometimes up to a kilometer error. These calculations and size estimates reflects relativity, expert creative thinking, Interstellar, and stunning visuals, effectiveness and rigorous scientific research, bringing a profound experience to the audience. Through these calculations, we can appreciate the movie more deeply to the scene, detailed attention to construction, and the exploration of hidden problems.